What is up, guys? Paradoxil here. Welcome back to a brand new video, everybody. Today we are going to be diving into the basics of JavaScript. Now, I am for once listening to all of you guys. You guys really wanted to learn JavaScript, so now I am finally bringing it to you on my channel. Now, this series will be relatively short. It'll just be about the basics of JavaScript at a beginner level. I do plan on posting some videos with some projects made in JavaScript, so be on the lookout for those. I do also plan to make a Discord bot series in JavaScript. However, it'll be a while before I get to that. But anyways, let's go ahead and actually get into JavaScript. Now, the things you can use JavaScript for may vary. You can use it for, like I said, Discord bots. You can make some games with them. I know you can make Android apps with them as well. But the most common use of JavaScript is scripting web pages. JavaScript, along with HTML and CSS, all three go together very well. JavaScript is like the functionality of a website. You use it to basically script your website's inner workings and its functions. So that is what it's commonly used for, and we will get into that later in this channel. It won't be on today's video because, like I said, we're just diving into the basics. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get right to it. Now, the first thing we need to do is install two programs, one called Node and another called Visual Studio's Code. So I'm going to go ahead and go to my browser here, and we are going to go to nodejs.org/en. And the website should look just like this. We are going to download this here, recommended for most users. If you want to try out this one here, you can. However, since this is a beginner level video, I highly suggest we just download 18.16.0 LTS. So I've already downloaded it. I have it right here. The installation process isn't too lengthy, it is pretty easy. But anyways, the other program we need to download is Visual Studio's Code, which we can access by going to code.visualstudio.com. And the website should look just like this. Now, if you are an experienced programmer, you can use your own text editor. I personally just like Visual Studio's Code. It's just what I feel more at home with. Some other ones are like Notepad++ or Atom. Those are really good text editors as well. But if you are new to programming, this is my recommendation. Just use VSC, short for Visual Studio's Code. I already downloaded it, and the installation process for VSC is really easy, so I'm not actually going to go over it. But I will be going over Node's installation process. Now I'm going to go ahead and click on this. Now I already have it installed, so this is why it looks like this for me. But I'm going to click change, and this is what it should look like for you. What we're going to do is we're going to ignore all of this right here. Don't mess with anything here, and just click next. And you can install the necessary tools. So I'm going to go ahead and click next. And then I'm going to click install, but for me it actually says change, but for you it'll just say install. And then you're going to get a little security pop-up, just click yes. And then after that, you are done. Now what we can do is open up our Visual Studio's Code text editor or your text editor of choice. And we are just going to stay on this blank screen or the welcome screen. And ignore these, by the way, these are just mine. Now we are going to make our program in JavaScript. So I'm going to right click right here, click new file, and I'm just going to call this program.js. Now, with a lot of web development programs, a lot of the time you'll see it called index or script.js. However, since we're not messing with anything involving websites or making any websites, we're not going to be doing that. This is just going to be a very simple program that just teaches you the basics of JavaScript, such as the syntax, how to make variables, functions or methods, while loops, and conditionals. That is actually what we're going to be going over in today's video. So the first thing I'm going to do is create a variable. Now, there are 3 keywords to make variables in JavaScript. The first one is called var, the second one is called let, and the third one is called const. Now, all of these make a variable the same way, except depending on the keyword that you use will factor in the properties of that variable. So for the first one, it's just going to be var, and then we are going to just type in name. It's going to be equal to John Doe. And when we are creating a new variable, we need to add this semicolon at the end. Now, if you program in languages such as Python or Lua, you may not recognize using a semicolon ever, but JavaScript is actually a semicolon and curly brace language, just like Java or any of the C-based languages. So you will be seeing a lot of curly braces and semicolons when you are programming in JavaScript. Now, something to keep in mind with this var keyword is that it is usually considered outdated. You can use it, but most experienced JavaScript programmers will tell you to avoid using var and instead use the other 2 keywords I mentioned earlier. So this is one way to create a variable, and we can do console.log and then just the name of that variable. And when you use var, you'll see that it's actually depreciated. Now, this will still print out to the console, but it'll just have that dash going through and it'll just say it's depreciated, and that's just how it's marked. Now, if I go ahead and run, as you can see, it still prints out John Doe to the console. But since using var is considered an outdated way of making a variable, it's going to have that little message there. But no worries, we can create another variable, and we're going to use the let keyword here. And we're going to call it new name. Now, the way I actually named this variable is its specific notation for programming in JavaScript. When you watch a lot of experienced JavaScript programmers make their variables, you will see that the first word in the name is all lowercase, and then the word after that has an uppercase as the first letter. So for example, new name, the N in new will be lowercase, but the N in name will be uppercase, and this goes on for as long as your variable is. So new name, another game, etc. So that is a specific notation that we use in JavaScript. I actually forgot the name of it, but it is something that a lot of people who program in JavaScript will be doing. They will name their variables like that. But about this let keyword, what this let keyword does is it essentially allows you for being able to actually reassign this variable. So we can we're going to set it to Jane Doe, and this autofill that you just see me do right now is actually from Tab9, which is an extension in VSC. It is pretty useful if you program a lot and you want to just save some time. All you gotta do is just press tab and it automatically fills. It is an AI that goes based off of how you are programming in the past, and it just uses that data to predict what you're going to write next, and it is pretty useful. But anyways, what this let keyword essentially does for this variable is it allows us to change it or reassign it later on. And that is pretty useful if you are using while true loops and you want this variable to be manipulated and changed as many times as you want or need. After that, we have the last one, which is const. And what this const keyword does is it essentially allows you to keep it at a constant assignment, which is why it's called const. And I'm going to call this James Doe, just keep it consistent. So what the const keyword does is it will not allow you to reassign or change this variable. You will see a lot of people use the const keyword for objects because they don't want the assignment of that variable to ever change. So this essentially locks it into being this value here, the string value of James Doe, while the let is the exact opposite, and it actually allows you to change it to anything you want. So think of let and const keywords of being polar opposites of each other. And in a really small, tiny program, this may not matter, but in a more complex app that you are making, this will matter, and you want to be careful which one to use. You would want to see and think which one would be best to use, depending on what you're doing. We'll get more into that in the future, but that is essentially what these do. And I'm going to make notes up here. This one is usually outdated, but can be used if you want. And what the let keyword is, let allows you to change the value of the variable anytime you want. And we're going to leave this one as opposite of let. It will not allow you to reassign the value of the variable. So just one more time, we're going to go over var is outdated, well, considered outdated, but you can still use it. Let essentially allows you to reassign that variable. Const keeps it at that constant assignment. It will not allow you to reassign it. And that is pretty much all you need to know for right now about those three keywords. Now let's go ahead and get into functions. Now to make a function, what we need to do is we need to type in function, and we are going to call this add, and we're going to put a set of parentheses, and then for our arguments we can put in x and y. And then after that, we need to exit the parentheses and put in the left curly brace, or well, it usually would put both. And inside here, just press enter. And since this is an add function, what I want it to do is I want it to return a value of x and y added. So I'm going to type in return x plus y, plus sign being the addition operator. We will go into a few operators as well. So that is how we make a function. And again, make sure you put in the, not curly brace, but the semicolon at the end. And after that, if we want to print the addition of those two numbers to the output, we can do console.log add. Make sure you use uppercases if there is any, because it is case sensitive. And let's add 5 and 10, and make sure we put the semicolon at the end. And we should get 15 in the output because x is 5, y is 10. 5 plus 10 is 15. So if I go ahead and run this, and we do get 15, so our function is working as it's supposed to. And essentially what this console.log method does is it basically works the exact same as the print function in Python, or printf in C++, or write line in C#. So console.log is used to output anything to your output field while running your program. So we got a function. Let's make another one, and tab 9 is asking me to make a subtract function, so why not go ahead and do that? Basically it's the exact opposite. So instead of using the plus sign operator, we'll use the minus or negative sign operator for subtraction. And again, if I were to go ahead and type in console.log subtract, and then let's do 5 and 8, and since I have 5 as x, it's actually going to subtract 8 from 5, which should give us -3, in which it will, because it can compute negative numbers. And as you can see, we get -3 in the output. You can go ahead, if you want to practice, you can make multiplication and division functions. For division, it is just x divided by y. And for multiplication, it is x asterisk y. Asterisk meaning times. And if you actually want to do something with exponents, the operator for that is x double asterisk y. Double asterisk is the operator for computing exponents. So if you have 2 double asterisks 3, you will get 8, I believe. I think 2 cubed is 8, yep. So that is how you compute exponents in JavaScript. The operators in JavaScript are pretty similar to Python, if you've also watched my Python for Beginners series. So that is something you will notice as well. They are very similar. Now let's go ahead and get into loops, specifically while loops. There are for loops in JavaScript. However, we're not going to get into that in today's video. We are just going to worry about while loops. And to make a while loop, all we need to do is just type in while, and then set up parentheses. And you can make it true if you want it to run indefinitely. But let's say we want to have this loop run until a number reaches 10. So number n, so while n is less than 10, what we are going to do is just type in console.log n, and then to add 1 to itself, we are going to type in n ++ semicolon, just like that. And if I go ahead and run, or actually, wait a minute. Oh, whoops, I forgot to actually define n. So I'm going to just type in let n equal 1. There we go, that's much better. Now let's go ahead and run this one more time. And as you can see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Now, the reason why it stops at 9 is because we have it print first. So once it reaches 10, it just won't print because it reaches 10 after it prints. So the while loop immediately closes and it doesn't get to print. Now, if I believe if I were to switch places with these, just hit enter and then n ++ and semicolon, run it one more time. It does reach 10, but it doesn't start at 1. So you might have to do a little bit of math there to actually have 1 appear all the way until 10. But that is how while loops work. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to have this less than 10,000. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and actually have it square each time. And if I go ahead and run this, whoops. I'll run now. N is equal to n squared. All right, and then I'm gonna run it again, and it might lag a little bit, and we still get 1. That's weird. Alrighty. Okay, I need to make it 2. That's probably why. Because 1 squared is just always going to be 1. There we go. So we got 4, and then 4 squared is 16. 16 squared is 256, and 256 squared is 65,536. So that is how we managed to use this while n is less than 1000 loop to essentially square in all the way until it's greater than 1000. Now the reason why we get 65,000 here is because we have it square and then print it, and then when it tries to rerun it again, it sees that it's actually bigger than 1000, so it just breaks out of that loop. So that is why we still get it, because we have it set to square and then print it anyways. So that is how we make a while loop. Now we can do a while true loop as well, and what this is essentially going to do is just going to make it run indefinitely no matter what. Now I will show you if I just set this, actually let's do a 0 here. And I'm gonna have it count to, well, actually, if I have it true, it's gonna count into infinity. But I am going to type in n plus, and then the semicolon, and I'm gonna have it print out n. And wait for the lag. Or actually, it didn't even want to run it because it just runs on until infinity. But we can just fix this by doing that right there, giving it a finite number. Oh, it did work. Fun. But this one here will just run until 100. So that is pretty cool. We can do this inside of a function too if we want. So we're gonna make a function here. So function loop is what we're gonna call it, and we're gonna name it n and k, or not name it, I'm sorry, we're gonna put n and k as values, n being the minimum value and k being the maximum value. And what this is going to do is it's going to count until it reaches that maximum value starting at the minimum value. So we are going to type in while n is less than k, and then I'm going to put another set of curly braces here. We are going to type in n++, and then console.log n. And actually, before I do this, I need to define n first. So let n equal n, I think, or no, actually, I don't think I need that. Never mind, guys. All right, let's go ahead and run. And wait, I didn't do anything. Whoops. All right, so I'm going to type in loop, and I'm going to have it start at 10 and end at 25. As you can see, it goes 11, 12, 13, 14, all the way until we reach 25. All right, so that is how we can use while loops in JavaScript. Now, for last, let's go on to conditionals. Now we are going to go over if, else if, and else. Now, basically, I'm going to go ahead and define two variables here. Let a equal 10, and then we're going to let b equal 15. Now I'm going to go ahead and type in an if statement here. So if A is greater than B, then what I'm going to have it do is it's going to print out to the console here, and then tab 9 is going to have me finish it out. So A is greater than B. So if A is greater than B, which yes, this is the greater than operator. And we can also use these with an equal sign to basically say if A is greater or equal to B. And yeah, so if A is greater than B, we're going to have it execute this line of code right here. And then we are going to type in else if A is less than B. And as you can see, tab 9 will have me finish it out right there. So basically what else if does is if this previous if statement right here, then it'll run to the else if statement, and then it'll execute that line of code. But if we also have an else statement right here, and then we're just going to type in console.log is equal to A is equal to B. So basically what I have here is if A is greater than B, then it's going to run this line of code. And if this conditional is not true, then it's going to run to this else if conditional here. And if this happens to not be true as well, it is going to run to this one. Because if A is not greater than B, but it's not less than B as well, then there's only one possible outcome, and that is A being equal to B. So if I go ahead and run this here, as you can see, it says A is less than B because B is 15 and then A is 10. But another thing that we can do is with these variables, we can also assign them to each other, and we can do A times 3. So that would be 30. If I go ahead and run this again, oh, it's still going to say A is less than B. All right, let's divide. So I'm going to divide it by 2. So that way B will be equal to 5. And if I go ahead and run this, now it's saying that A here is greater than B. And if I just go ahead and set that to 10 as well, it's going to eventually say A is equal to B. Now, if you want it to, if you want to check if it's equal right here, the operator for that is a double equal sign. And if you want to check if they're not equal, then you'll use an equal sign and a exclamation mark. Or actually, I think it's like that. But that is how you check if two variables or values are equal or not equal. But I'm gonna go ahead and switch this back to greater than. But anyways, that is how we can make conditionals in JavaScript. So that is about it for today's video. I know it was pretty lengthy. That is only because we had a lot to explain. But that is how we can make our functions, variables, while loops, and conditionals in JavaScript. It's not too hard. I just started learning this recently as well, and it was pretty easy. Oh, and another thing that's probably worth mentioning is we use double slashes to actually comment out code. So that's how we do that. We use 2 slashes, forward slashes, not backwards. As you can see, backwards don't work, but forwards do. And that's how I made these little notes up here. So again, var is outdated. Let allows you to change it, and then const does not allow you to change it. We use double slashes for commenting. We use the function keyword to make a function. And then we use while, and then inside of parentheses, we put a condition here. And then we use if, else, if, and else. Now, if you program in Python, you may recognize else if as being elif. But in JavaScript, in most other languages actually, it is else if, not elif. But that is pretty much it for today's video. Oh, and there is one thing I want to show you guys. This is actually how we can run our program outside of Visual Studio's code. So as you can see right here, I have it in my programming folder, which is actually located in my C drive here. So programming, and how we can run this program here outside of Visual Studio's code is by going up here, typing in CMD, and then this will open up, and all we have to do is just type in node and then program.js, and then it prints out basically A is equal to B, because that's what I have scripted in that program. But obviously once your program becomes more complex, it might open something up, or it might do something major, who knows. Whatever you guys want to do. For your homework today, I want you guys to basically make a couple of functions in JavaScript. And if you're in my Discord server by any chance, you guys should definitely share your creations with me. I'd love to see them, guys. Speaking of that, if you guys enjoyed this video, be sure to subscribe. If you need any help with your code, whether it be JavaScript or not, feel free to join my Discord server. The link will be in the description. We are currently at about 530-ish members. We're trying to get to 600 here shortly. Yeah, so if there's anything else you guys would like to see, be sure to let me know in the comments below. Leave a like on my video. Subscribe to my channel. We are trying to get to 1,000 subscribers. I promise you guys, if we reach 1,000, we will have a face reveal. So other than that, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.